So this might seem like a silly question. Of course, JavaScript only has one null value. It's the value called null. But there is another value that people like to use interchangeably with it. It's called undefined. And I wouldn't blame you for not having heard about it if your name is double equals, but if your name is triple equals, I would blame you for not having heard about it. Now I'm going to make an object that has all of our null values in it, and since we're making an object, we can also have a property that either does or doesn't exist on it, because JavaScript is a dynamic language. So TypeScript has a way of writing that. It's this question mark colon thing. And if you use it, TypeScript will encourage you to use the question mark dot operator everywhere, which will give you an undefined, but it is still a different case from an undefined value, because the in operator can tell you the difference. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what about nan? Well, type of nan is number, because it's a floating point number, and that makes sense because I can do math on it. See, I can exponentiate it. So it's not really a null value, so it doesn't count here. Now, something that people like to do instead of returning null is they like to throw errors. And throwing an error is kind of like a super null value. It's something that you do when you don't expect your caller to actually handle an error, so you just want to propagate it to whatever the nearest try catch is, and if that doesn't exist, you can just crash the program. That's fine. So TypeScript doesn't know about this one, so it's just between you and me. Now, something that happens when you throw everywhere is you have to put try catch blocks everywhere, and that's kind of annoying because your try block is going to create a scope for your variables that you declare inside of it. So here I want to do something with f, but I have to do it inside of the try block, and that's kind of annoying, and I don't really want to do it. So if you've used Rust before, you might think, hey, I can just use a result type. And that's true, you can. You can do something like this. And now we've solved our problem. We don't have to use the variable inside of the try block. But now we have a new problem, which is that we just made a new null value. It's this error object thing. And that might seem like a really big problem, but really you're in good company because JavaScript is doing the exact same thing. It has this capital N number function, which is supposed to give you the number representation of a string. But if you give it a string that isn't a number, then it's going to give you nan, even though it really should give you some kind of null value here. And the same thing with array.findIndex. If it doesn't find anything, it's going to give you -1, which is weird. It really should give you like null or undefined, right? So really, the takeaway is JavaScript has as many null values as you make for yourself, plus the ones that JavaScript made for you. So here are some standard library functions that return different kinds of nulls. I couldn't find a standard library function that returns an object that may or may not have a particular property on it. Maybe I just didn't look hard enough. Let me know in the comments if you can find one. Anyways, here are the 5 null values that every JavaScript program has, and you probably have more. You probably have the optional property one. That's pretty common. And just in case you think this is some silly JavaScript thing that the JavaScript people are doing, no, everyone does this in every language, or at least in a large enough code base, you're going to find it. So I was using a Rust program the other day, and it was crashing because 3 layers deep in library code, someone had written OK, no file found. And that's a little strange if you've written Rust before. This OK thing, it's the result type that I showed you earlier. And they were using the OK variant, but like this is clearly an error. This is a function that's supposed to find files, and it failed to find the file, but it was returning OK, no file found. And the person who had called this had just tried to find the file, and they had unwrapped it because, of course, it wouldn't return an OK if it failed. But, I mean, that tends to crash things if you found a file that isn't, like, real. It's just the string no file found. So that was a problem. Anyways, that's all I got. Bye, Steve.